Hello, and welcome to the spookiest season of the year, October 2023. I am Noah.
And I am Gavin.
And we are the blood-sucking Blanchard brothers. And we are here once again to get spooky with you. What's up? What's up? Uh, Welcome to October 2023. For all you Spotify listeners, I'm gonna from the top just shit all over them. Okay. Uh, we had a proper kickoff a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was called Welcome to Chiller Theater. I did a whole, you just brought. We're recording this over Zoom. We both got kind of a late night radio disc jockey vibe. You look like Wolfman Jack right now.
Yeah.
Uh, and you can also not see my face because I am backlit
Yes.
by
To hell.
some neon lights. I'm just a shadow, baby. Uh yeah. So with uh with that in mind, I did a whole little thing where I took some of my tunes, my creepy, Halloween inspired tunes from a couple years ago, and I did this whole I'm a like I'm a ghost radio DJ host and I'm introducing all these songs, and it was just like a nice little 45-minute episode to kick off the season. Next
And
morning, I'm like, yo, Spotify, like, where is it? What's up? Like, it didn't update. What's going on? Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you just got to reload. But I do check my email, and sure enough, uh, they were like, just removed for reasons of content. It not didn't explain what, and it wasn't a copyright strike. I'm like, it's all music that I own and I created, and it was my podcast. I don't know why, but it is available on the website and literally every other podcast service. Like it's on Apple. Went on there just fine. No issues. So,
yeah, no, I listened to it on Apple. So,
yes.
and
So
I've seen a
our
couple other
October,
places are coming back, like to Apple and other places, like Spotify only podcast, that are like, okay, hey, now we're back on everybody's feed, and they're like, I don't know if that's like a contract deal thing or if they are getting like more stringent with stuff. So they're like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to like deal exclusively with Spotify because I may deal with like having stuff taken down quicker or
right.
whatever. But so
It was
yeah,
just, yeah, and we've had so many old episodes pulled, uh, mostly because of the Universal Music Group, which I'm just like, okay, I get it. But like we never, all of that was in the vein of music criticism and or love, and it was all, you know, for the most part, short clips. We did some like long stuff back in the day. But anyways, I digress. I digress. Uh so yeah, we got off to a weird start with this year, but we did have Mr. Sunshine Mayfield's always welcome annual article of the 20 horror movies that you may not have seen, which is, based on how many people have actually logged it on IMDb. So there's some stuff on there that you're probably like, oh, I've gotten to this, but you'd be surprised. A lot of people, stop, dude, the way your phone light is contrasting with your all red. So you're all red and I'm all blue.
total
This is
total
very,
double dragon,
I
dude.
was gonna say this is very Double Dragon, which is something we dressed as kids for
Hell,
Halloween.
except we were blue and green, and now I'm wondering why we weren't blue and red.
I don't know. I think mom just kind of like screwed up
They,
on the
they
fabric with that
probably
one and they just rolled with it. And it
they
was
probably
like,
didn't have red as a
yeah,
fabric.
it maybe wasn't available.
Probably
Yeah.
all the other kids got red double dragon
Got
costumes.
red ninja
Yeah,
costumes. Yes. Okay. So where do you want to start? And like I said, it's been a weird start to October, so
I haven't.
we're just kicking back. We have you've been busy. I've been busy. I had a birthday, 33 now. That's pretty horrific.
Mom had a birthday.
You have a younger brother that's 33 years old.
I know,
How does that
right?
make
That's
you
so.
feel?
I mean, I'm looking at 36, like, And of course, mom had a big birthday this year,
Uh-huh.
uh, so that was fun. what was I gonna say? I had something I was gonna say. Oh, yeah. Do you want to like? I don't know. I haven't read that article thing. Does he have it like in an easy readable list thing? You just want to go through these and we can be like, seen it, haven't
Yeah,
seen it.
we can shout that.
That'd be
That'd be a
a
great
fun jumping
way
off point just to go
to
through that.
start. What a great idea.
Yeah.
And you know where you can do that, Gavin? Where can the listeners do that?
The ARKofe.com.
That would be correct. Yes.
Yes.
It's going to be the second article on the
Two
page,
points.
just below Welcome to Chiller Theater, the exclusive home, the non-Spotify home of that great episode of the podcast.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I rode around listening to it. Like I just driving at night listening to that shit. It was pretty
Did
dope.
you get scared?
No, not really.
Get a little scared?
It doubles as like a creepy, but also like it doubles as like you're riding through like I mean, you have to imagine where you're at, but like you're riding through like the high desert and you pick this guy up on AM/FM somewhere on like a random station you're never going to get in like the big city or like other smaller towns, but you're out in the desert where like the radio waves are just flowing a lot better. And you just kind of like turn over to this station and there's this guy here just like, hey, these are some stuff I did, and it's like I almost was mad that you didn't like intercut fake like radio commercials for it and
Well,
stuff like that.
honestly, I was gonna do like, this was gonna be episode one, and then Chiller Theater was gonna be like a little thing. But then I got a little discouraged when it was taken off of Spotify because I was just like, those are my tunes, man. And like,
Do you think it's because like you mentioned things that inspired it and those were copyrighted things, so someone just found a reason to take it off? Or do you think that
I'm
like
like, I don't even know, dude.
it just anything that they feel like is copyrighted, they're gonna take it down?
I have yes, I have found that Spotify is like the most stringent these days, which is, again, it's all free. Like
Right. There
we're
yeah.
not making any money off of this podcast, so I don't
Right.
understand what the issue is. I truly don't. Here's what I'm thinking. Let's play a fun game with this list.
Okay.
I'm gonna read you the copy from Mr. Sunshine Mayfield, and maybe I'll do it in a spooky voice or a variety of spooky voices. Okay,
You
and
know,
then you
I
can
gotta
try
guess
and
the name.
guess what the movie is
Okay, yeah, I
that
could try
he's
that.
talking about. Okay, you want to give
It's
this a
better than you
shot?
telling me the title and me guessing what happens in the movie.
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
You
Okay,
said yeah. Okay,
so
dude, go
again,
for it.
the copy I'm reading is from our good friend Mr. Sunshine Mayfield, who's been with us from the very beginning here at the ARKTOBER, and has been doing this article for I think 3 or 4 years now.
At
Been
least three.
updating it. Yeah. So here we go with the first one. Um, what voice should we go for? This one's more. I'm gonna go more trailer voicey on this one. He goes, "This compact gem wastes no time in delivering spine-tingling moments that will undoubtedly make you squirm in your seat. It pays a stylish homage to the occult subgenre, demonstrating its ability to blend dark themes with a pulsating narrative. The film is a testament to the talent of director Sean Byrne, who continues to rebuild a former, to build a formidable resume in the horror realm. In its brevity and style, Blank packs a punch, reminding us that horror can be both thrilling and immensely entertaining. While it may not be a nightmare-inducing masterpiece, it is a compelling addition to the genre and guarantees a devilishly good time.
And
Devilishly good time.
it didn't come out. It came out this year.
This is from the year 2015,
Oh,
and it's
devilish.
one hard-rocking, devil-centered sort of movie.
Is it the Devil's Candy?
It sure is.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes, The Devil's Candy for Mr. Sean Byrne, who also appears later on the list. We'll get to that. This is his, I don't know if it's straight up his second one, but second like high profile one that we've been aware of. Yeah, it's pretty solid, dude. Yeah, you got Ethan Embry in there.
What?
Yeah, he doesn't do full on plot descriptions, which I realized in here, but it'll still be interesting to see if you can guess. Uh,
Yeah, I can try.
and of course, I'll be omitting the name, but that one's available on AMC Plus right now. And just if you're curious for the rough numbers of like how, underseen this one is, the threshold is more than 50,000 reviews on IMDb, like people who have logged a rating. So the Devil's Candy is at 21,106.
Dude, Rotten Tomato has it as 93%. Like, that's all
It's
you
a
need right there.
rock
Like,
solid movie. And again, brevity, Mayfield mentions, very key. Just short, sweet, really solid horror movie. Check
hmm.
it out. Pruitt Taylor Vance, who people will confuse with John Carroll Lynch, but is fantastic in it and very, very creepy. You'll recognize him. But yeah, I don't really want to spoil that one. But again, the devil's involved and metal music
Hmm.
is involved. Great time. Check that one out if you have AMC Plus slash Shutter. I don't know if it's attached to Shutter, but broadly AMC Plus.
Yeah, it should be.
You should
It
you should
is.
have it in your repertoire at this point. AMC Plus should be. You should hang on to it between the British shows they get, their own originals, and having Shutter built in there, and their indie movie selection pretty solid. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, it's I would say it's kind of in might be in like the top three or four like most essential in my mind, at least for the stuff we like to watch.
Oh, yeah,
You
definitely.
got you got to have AMC Plus. Okay, number 19 from 2023. It's easy at first glance to write off blank as only a striking and wild exercise in hedonism and violence. But as you sit with it longer and explore the world that steps just outside our own, we start to reflect on our own humanity and what we're willing to sacrifice for what we think we want. Mia Goth, once again, proves she's a
Infinity
force to
Pool.
be. Okay, yeah, it's Infinity Pool. Brandon Cronenberg's Infinity Pool.
Yeah. We talked
He
about
gets
it the other day, didn't we? I remember we talked about this.
Yes, and we talked about this one earlier this year, but it is
Yeah.
now streaming on Hulu. It's just on the threshold. It's going to clear 50,000, I'm sure. I'm sure there were some people that were straight up saving it for this season. So yeah, if you haven't gotten to it, we're big fans of it. I got to be honest, on a rewatch, it did go down for me a little bit, but that's also a theatrical experience versus a home rewatch.
Hmm.
And overall, my main takeaway was just I like Possessor just a little bit more, even though that one's not something I want to go back to all the time. Uh, Infinity Pool is definitely more watchable, which sounds weird to say, but I
Yeah.
think I still prefer Possessor. But yeah, if you want to take a shot on that one, very out there, but uh, you know, if it's your brand of horror, it might scratch that
Yeah.
itch. And I'm sure if it is, you've probably already seen it. But uh, okay, number 18. This one's from 2017. At first glance, it might appear as if it's crafted by film students with limited resources, but it rapidly evolves into a remarkably creative addition to the zombie movie genre. This film not only brings a refreshing level of wit and inventiveness to a somewhat oversaturated subgenre, but also pays homage to its predecessors with genuine respect. However, it's essential not to underestimate it. While it may initially come across as low budget horror comedy, Blank surprises with some of the most ingenious camera work seen in recent memory. Its ability to seamlessly blend humor, horror, and an intricate cinematography to a truly remarkable, excuse me, is truly remarkable, finding itself to be an enchanting revelation that both zombie movie enthusiasts and cinephiles should not overlook. Do you know the film, brother?
Is it the one
Zombie
we
horror comedy
one cut
from
of the
20.
dead?
It sure is.
Yeah.
All right. You are uh three, yeah, 3 for 3 so far. I had to help you a little bit with Devil's Candy, but you got there.
Yeah, yeah. I
I
took a
gave
couple
you
hints.
I gave you a
Two
big
and a
hint
half.
on that one.
Two and a
Uh,
half, all right.
it's a long list, so I will breeze past this next one. This number 17 is Possessor, from
Yeah.
Brandon Cronenberg, which is also available on Hulu right now. And I should mention One Cut of the Dead on AMC Plus. So yeah, there you go. We should do this more often. We should just like literally read Mayfield's articles. This is great content because then we don't have to do any work
Yeah,
whatsoever.
it's just us guessing.
This is a breeze.
Yeah.
And we made a game of it. Phoebe needs to be let out. She's finally done with the room. She's had enough of the
Okay.
lasers. So I got to let this cat go. But I
Okay.
will tease you with this. Number 16 on the list is from 1960, and it is available on HBO Max right
Peeping
now.
Tom.
No, I mean, we won't count the blind guess, but that was fun. That was fun. It's not Peeping Tom. I'll be right back.
Okay, when was Psycho? Psycho was Psycho 1960? I'm just talking to myself here. I had this whole thing I was gonna do, where I told Noah that like
All right,
I
there is
bit.
no
Oh,
longer,
okay.
sorry.
No,
I'm
what?
sorry.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
There's no longer a black cat in this room. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
A poster just falls behind you. It's like just the minute you get done
Okay.
saying that.
Again, don't say that. Don't say that. Uh, number 16
Is it
from
Psycho?
1960. No, why would Psycho be on the, no, again, the threshold is 50,000 reviews on IMDb
Oh,
to be on this list. You
1960.
got to
If
be
it's not
under,
Peeping Tom, I have no idea what it is.
you have to be under 50,000. I don't know if I explained that correctly.
Oh.
It's movies you might not have seen.
Oh, okay.
So we're trying to go with, maybe known titles, but it's like, hey, if people have actually watched these, maybe they would have higher ratings just given the small sample size of IMDb
Huh.
of the
Okay.
ratings. Because your average, like big, you know, 50,000 is not that crazy.
No.
Okay. Blank remains a haunting and enduring example of cinematic storytelling, presenting a chilling fairy tale of guilt and obsession that even 63 years after its release continues to captivate and terrify audiences. This classic weaves a tapestry of poetic horror, its impact undiminished by the passage of time. Director Georges Franju's delicate yet macabre touch casts an eerie spell over the audience, leaving us haunted by the film's unsettling imagery.
I
Any
have no
guesses
idea.
there?
I have no idea.
That is Eyes Without a Face.
That Billy Idol song?
You goddamn right it is.
Eyes without a face.
I literally always assumed that he just like happened to be watching that on kid, or it was probably a big movie for him when he was a kid. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Famously, I don't know if you've ever seen Pedro Almodovar's The Skin I Live In with Antonio Banderas, which is fantastic and it's kind of horror adjacent, but borrows a bit from Eyes Without a Face. Uh,
Oh,
and you probably recognize some imagery from this movie if you've never
oh,
seen
I'm
it.
sure.
But
I'm sure I've seen it on like a best of or like a countdown show or a countdown uh, thing, like 100 Scariest Moments or like a
yeah,
talking head doc about stuff. So yeah, that makes sense.
uh, yeah, recommend as well. It's on Max right now. Number 15. Dare I? Dare I?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's an Australian mockumentary style horror thriller.
Yeah. All right.
Captivates
Okay.
from start to
Listen,
finish, offering
Ivan
offering a
Milat,
fresh
this all
take,
bullshit.
offering a fresh take on the genre with storytelling that masterfully executed, presenting its narrative through a combination of interviews, home videos, and faux documentary footage.
Oh, is it Lake Mungo
It sure is.
or Mungo Lake, whatever? I thought you were going Wolf Creek.
That's why I was like, let me finish speaking. I know
Ah,
you
okay.
can't see my gestures as well in the dark, can you?
No, but I should have. Yeah, I should have let you go. I just thought my problem is I have a fundamental problem with Wolf Creek because if you look at like the true story and like the true crime behind what Ivan Milat did, it's not like I hate what's like and they never caught him and they don't know what happened. He's like we
Well,
know exactly who did this. So when you
we're
went
not talking.
Australian, I
Yeah,
thought Wolf Creek, and
right.
I
But
get that
we're
a lot
not.
of people saw that one and nobody saw Lake Mungo or Mungo Lake, whatever, whichever one it is. I need to watch that one. That is on my list to watch before this month's over with. I've heard great things. I've never been able to sit down and watch it. I've always had other stuff I was trying to do, and I was like, I'll save it for October, and now it's finally here. So
Wait, so you've never seen Lake Mungo? That was the
no,
name
but
of
I
it.
know what you're talking about.
Yes. Okay. Huge recommend. It's one of those you kind of don't want to spoil for people. It's a super slow burn, but it's one of those you just it just sucks you right in. Super effective movie. It is available on AMC Plus and Tubi right now.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, that's a huge recommend. Our next one is from 2020. Movie we covered on this podcast at some length in the midst of pandemic, which yeah, I don't know if this one maybe faded to the background
Well,
of
if we've covered
everybody's
it, just go ahead
memory.
and tell me what it is.
She dies tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Do you remember this one?
Yeah.
Where essentially anxiety is the virus that is,
Right.
just kind of passed from person to person.
Mm-hmm.
I thought super effective. Not something that was like conceived and meant to be about what was happening, but just happened to kind of coincide perfectly.
Right.
So yeah, that kind of topical, you know, sci-fi horror concept. Another one from right around that same time, which is number 13 here, Host, from 2020. That was the Zoom horror movie.
Yeah, that was really good. I was
Yes.
surprised with just how like quick that got. It felt it's so weird that it's like, okay, well, this is
So
the new normal. We're all doing this now. So like all of a sudden
I was going to
there's a
say
horror movie that's out about it.
that's the exact opposite of what we were just talking about with She Dies Tomorrow, which was like that one was just kind of fortuitous that it like captured some of the anxieties that people were dealing with at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and throw into that also like the idea of like a communicable disease, etc. But then yeah, you have Host, which is like, oh, everybody's on Zoom. What if you had a Zoom seance? Like, what would you do? And again, brevity, dude. That one's super short, high
Mm-hmm.
impact. Like to me, I haven't rewatched it, but in the moment, like when it dropped, that was a thing, dude. That was one of the better horror movies of its time. And it is kind of crazy. Rob Savage has already had Dash Cam after that, which was a
Yes,
little
yeah, I saw
more
Dash Cam.
polarizing, but I thoroughly enjoyed. I thought it had great like set pieces built into it and some just like ingenious filmmaking, period. Whether you liked the lead character or not, or whether you thought that was a barrier to entry, I thought that movie was super effective. And then of course he just had the Boogeyman, kind of the big, I
Uh-huh.
got a little bit more money, little studio, which is not on this list. Uh
Well, I don't know
and
why.
is available on Hulu right now. I think probably because it has enough ratings to not be.
Yeah.
But also, I enjoyed it, but I got to be honest, probably my least favorite Rob Savage movie so far.
Yeah,
And
definitely
my
had you know what I didn't what threw me off, but like as soon as I figured it out, I was like, okay, now I'm in this. I have a thing where like I didn't recognize that it was old girl from Yellow Jackets for about 10 minutes. And I was like, why is this girl look? And I was like, oh, if you put blonde hair on her, of course I knew who she is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and she's
So,
great and Messina's great.
oh yeah.
My fundamental issue with the movie and like again, the scares are fundamentally like well put together. He knows how to stage a jump scare. He knows how to build tension. He's a great horror director. He has firmly established that. Uh my big issue is just the creature itself, the boogeyman.
Oh yeah.
For me, they showed it too early
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't really care about the creature design. It was very samey with like I feel like I've seen one too many of these like spindly sort of alien looking like it's a quiet place like the everything just kind of all looks the same, dude. And I don't know, I want to get back to like, I don't know, show me something cool, show me something twisted and practical and different
Well,
and just a fundamentally like different design of something that I could find scary. I feel like they keep going back to that well too much. That anyways, that was my big hang up with the Boogeyman, which otherwise I think is a really effective, fun little thriller. And again, it's available on Hulu. That's a Stephen King, right?
Yeah, I thought he had
Yeah.
something to do with that
Yes.
at some point.
But yeah, I believe newly streaming on Hulu, but not on this list. Uh,
Hmm.
Number 12, I'll let you guess this one. This one I will go ahead and say is not available streaming anywhere at the moment, as of the writing of this article. Uh, this is from 2014. Blank is a genre-bending vampire film that defies conventions and delivers a story that's equal parts romantic, emotional, and downright creepy. Anna Lily Amrapor's directorial debut is nothing short of remarkable, and it's a film that demands your attention. It's not just a vampire film, it's a character study, a love story, and a commentary on social norms, on societal norms, rather, if I could learn to speak and read correctly.
Um, it's not that one with.
It's maybe not a title that's on the tip of your tongue, and
Is it the one where it is? Is Tilda Swinton in it?
no, that was Only
Is
Lovers Left
That's what I was
Alive,
thinking. That's
which
yeah.
I believe I did. We do that for a two by two,
I think so. Yeah,
or we were gonna do it for a two by two.
we
I
did it
think
as like a
is
part
that
of an Anton Yelton thing because he was in that, didn't
yeah,
we? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We did like
So
that and Fright Night because they were the two like vampire movies he was part of, or something like that. Is it
I
the
can't
is it Let
remember.
the Right One In or Let Me In?
No, it is a girl walks home alone at night.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yes. Uh, it fluctuates on and off of streaming, but it is currently only rentable on your VOD service of choice. Okay. Streaming on AMC Plus and at our number 11 slot from 2019, a movie I still need to get to, which is one of the least seen on this list. Have you heard about Tigers Are Not Afraid?
No.
I think this one's a little more in the like Del Toro realm, but elements of Mexican folklore. It's centered around kids. Um, I honestly, I still, I don't know too much about it, but I don't know if it was a Shutter Co-Pro or what the deal is, but I think that one's definitely on Shutter or AMC. Okay, and that's another 40 minutes on the clock because we refuse to pay for Zoom.
Hmm.
But if you want to help us pay for Zoom, you can head over to patreon.com/slash the ARK of E and become a patron and help us pay for such things. So that
And
we
or
don't have to,
commission such things.
yeah, so that we don't have to, break up these recordings. As fun as this is. I got kind of lost as far as the count on how successful you've been. So we will just count the top 10. And I
Yeah, let's
don't
just do
know
yeah.
when the last part got cut off, but Tigers Are Not Afraid, I believe, was the 11th spot.
Oh, I made a terrible joke about like in my head instantly being like tigers aren't free, like eyes without a face, tigers aren't free. Like I don't know why when you said
Oh,
it, I instantly just like tried to sing it like Billy Idol. But anyway, that's a terrible joke I made. That's where I remember like, ending at
I
before it
think I
just
had
like
it.
randomly cut off.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll move forward. I don't know that you're going to get this next one. This is a toughie. Okay,
Okay.
but we're entering the top 10.
All right.
Think less of a traditional horror and more Brothers Grimm fairy tale. But regardless of how you classify blank, it's certainly worth the watch. Goran Slotvetsky uses classic folk horror imagery and lore to tell a story that beautifully explores the idea of legacy and the impact that we have on others, recognizing that wickedness may not only be the cause of witches. It's hypnotic and poetic while beautifully and sometimes horrifically balancing all the humanity and the gore. This is from 2022 and it is streaming on Peacock. Is it ringing a bell? I will say it stars one Miss Numi Rapace, she of Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Swedish fame.
Oh yeah. I probably
And
know what you're talking
Prometheus.
about.
Can't forget Prometheus.
And you can't forget Sherlock Holmes,
I mean,
the second one.
we could argue.
Hello.
Okay. But yeah, you won't be alone. I still have not gotten to this one. But you know, recommend. It's in the top 10 here. Uh, some modern folk horror, which we've gotten a lot of in the last 5 or 6 years. Uh, kind of post Robert Eggers entering the fray.
The
Okay.
Vitch.
Yes, The Vitch. Uh, and yes, You Won't Be Alone obviously is very new and very underseen. Just 9,689 reviews on IMDb.
Hmm.
Okay, this is one we discussed when it came out in 2020, so I'll go ahead and roll right into it. It's available on AMC Plus. Do you remember The Dark and the Wicked?
Yeah, like they come home to the farm and shit's all fucked up. Like just everything's just kind of fucked. Like there's really no. That's the only thing I didn't like.
Yes,
I was like, there's just
just
like no escaping
I mean, I
how.
mean, it was very, very hopeless, very bleak, but that's
Yeah,
kind of what I liked about it. But
yeah.
yeah, definitely not for everybody. Definitely committed to the bit. That's like, yeah, it's dealing with demonic forces, and it's pretty fucked up what they do. It's from Brian Bertino, the guy who brought us The Strangers. Also did a movie called Monster with Zoe Kazan, which I think was like an early A24 horror movie, which I think is on HBO Max right now. But I enjoyed that one as well. But yeah, The Dark and the Wicked,
Wait,
it's on AMC
monster.
Plus. Yeah,
That's
not
not
the what
not
I'm
Scoop McNairy.
that's
The other one.
Monsters. That's
Durs. Oh yeah, yeah,
plural.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
That's the first Gareth Edwards movie, who just had the creator bomb massively in theaters. Yes.
Is that the AI one?
The JDW AI one, yes.
I do want to see that.
I think it's worth a watch. I didn't hate it. I had a lot of issues with it, but more just frustrating where it was just like, if you just put a little as much effort into the screenplay as you did to the visuals, we might have had something here. But
Yeah.
it's just it's a great looking movie with a lot of cool like visual concepts in it that has a lot of uninteresting ideas in terms of how to tell its story. But yeah, it's still worth a watch.
No, it is a visual medium, so
Side note, and it's not horror related. We gotta shut up. It's Arctober.
Okay.
All right. So I gave that one to you.
Yeah, I had no idea what that one was gonna be.
Yeah, it would have been tough with the description. Uh this one's a gimme. You could probably get it from the date. So let's just see what old Mayfield had to say about this one. Also, if I did this one in a voice, it would give it away. Um, when you think of incredible slasher movies, it's unfortunate that Blank often gets left out of the conversation alongside the more celebrated classics. This oversight is a true disservice, for Blank stands as a cornerstone of the genre. Directed by the talented Blank and featuring and Blank, among others, it's a film that has left an indelible mark on horror cinema. What sets Blank apart is its unsettling dialogue and gritty portrayal of terror as obscene phone calls escalate into something far more sinister.
Oh,
Nearly 50 years after its release, Blank still holds its own as a must-watch for any fan of the slasher subgenre. It's a gripping and atmospheric experience that laid the groundwork for the horror that followed, making it a classic that deserves its place among the genre's greats. It's from 1974. It's streaming all over the place. It's on AMC Plus, it's on Peacock, it's on Pluto, it's on Tubi, it's on Roku channel, etc., etc. And it's just, it'll be off the list next year because I still can't believe that it has less than 50,000, but it's a 45 right now.
hmm.
Are you going to say it?
No, you can say it. I know you can. Go ahead.
No, the whole point is
You
you're
said
supposed to
what
be
year?
guessing these. 1974.
Black Christmas?
Absolutely.
Okay.
100%. Just rewatched it a couple
Not the
nights ago.
2006 one, and then not the newer one.
That's
The first
correct.
Black Christmas.
Yeah, the good one. the classic, the masterpiece, the
Okay.
yes.
It's just weird you have to say Black Christmas 74, you know?
It
Like
does feel
there's
weird at
because
this point that I have to say that.
there's two
When
sequels
I
to
was
it.
okay, so this is so stupid and film nerdy, but this is the kind I don't know if people care about hearing about this shit, but like in my notes app, I have my Arctober log, which at some point I was like, I'll probably, screen cap this or maybe I'll do pictures. I don't know, whatever I'm going to post for the gram. Who cares? Um, but I have my list. And as I'm writing stuff out for each day, I run into things like that where I'm like, okay, so I watched this thing, but it was the director's cut of such a movie. And I'm like, okay, well, this was technically not a rewatch. It was a first time watch of this director's cut. So it's separate than my rewatches, blah, blah,
Hmm.
blah. And then things like that, where it's like, it's Black Christmas. And I'm like, well, do I have to specify that it's 74? Because there are multiple movies with that title now. Um, or should it just be known that, like, of course, that's the one I'm talking about because that's the good one. And I'm also like, who's even going to see this list? You're arguing with yourself. There is no point to this. But that's the kind of stupid granular film bullshit that goes on in my brain. And you know what I did? I put 74 beside it. That's what I did. That's what I did. Just to
It
be
happens.
clear. Just to be clear.
You know what I
Yeah.
think's funny?
And that
And I
movie
really want
holds
to
up. If you've never, I feel like we've talked about it to excess on this podcast, but if you've never seen Black Christmas, the original,
what
it's
are you
just
doing with your life?
it's the best. I feel like we never really got into it, but it might be the closest we ever had to like the, you know, you and the two cousins like being like, is this guy allowed to like call himself the boss? Like, are we really having this conversation?
Eh.
But I have long suggested that maybe that's the superior slasher to Halloween, as much as I love Halloween. Um, but you know, I've
Yeah.
thrown it out there, and nobody ever seems to want to have that conversation with me, just kind of like you're doing right now. But
Well, it's because
whatever.
like, well, it's because
It still scares me. I guess that's the biggest thing. And
yeah.
part of that is the repetition. And bottom line, I still just for pound, I've seen Halloween more times. But Black Christmas, still, I watch it at least once a year. It's still a fairly new movie in my rotation. It's only been in there for like, you know, maybe we're coming up on a decade. I don't know. But yeah, it's one I came to later in life, but I love it. I love it more and more every time I watch it. But yet it still fucking creeps me out. And there are some legitimate like jump scares that are effective, and the whole vibe is just creepy and unsettling, and there's no resolution, and it's just so
Yeah.
effective. It is when I think of bone chilling, like that's Black Christmas is. I'm like, that's a bone chilling movie. That's when I'm just like, ugh, it makes me shudder, and there's no relief to that feeling. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I could
and
see that.
it was never complicated by in the moment any sequels that went on to explain anything. That was my biggest issue with the remake was like trying to explain who the killer is and give this whole backstory. I was like, I that's so much of what's effective about the original is that you don't nothing is ever fully spelled out. You can kind of piece together your own narrative based on like the multiple voices and the things they keep going back to. But uh yeah. Anyways,
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those where like,
that's almost a tradition at this point. That's my annual Black Christmas is the greatest slasher of all time. You need to go back and rewatch it if you haven't seen it already. Uh so yeah, end rant on that one. And
maybe
yes,
the
you got it
maybe
correct
the
as well.
end rant is why no one wants to have the conversation with you.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so we can move past it now because I had points and I've forgotten them. Let's go to the next one.
This is the second appearance from Sean Byrne. Okay. Sean Byrne's directorial prowess shines through once again in this film that's so horrifically mesmerizing it's impossible to look away. With a relentless stream of shocking and jaw-dropping scenes, This movie pushes the boundaries of your comfort zone and keeps you hooked from start to finish. Blank is a twisted and unforgettable ride that leaves you questioning your own sanity for continuing to watch. It's a testament to Burns' talent that he can craft a narrative so utterly disturbing, yet utterly compelling. It's a wild ride that is certainly worth taking. I want to commend Mayfield for saying literally nothing about the plot, but being very effusive in his praise for this 2009 film from Sean Byrne. Do you know what it's called?
No idea.
This is The Loved Ones. Have we ever talked about The Loved Ones?
Mm, no.
Uh, I believe he's Australian or New Zealand, and I hesitate to even say that because I know that would be offensive if I confuse the two. I believe Australian.
Tasmania. He's from
Uh,
Tasmania.
okay. So The Loved Ones is basically girl wants to go with boy to prom. Boy is in relationship with other girl. So girl kidnaps boy and forces him to go to prom of her own making. Um, and it is fucked up, man. But it is a twisted, upsetting, very, very good time. If you've never
Hmm.
seen The Loved Ones, it's on Paramount Plus right now and on Pluto TV. Lots of fun twists and turns, and just a genuinely it's kind of like sitting in the energy of the last like 15 minutes of Texas Chainsaw, but for an entire movie. Just
Hmm.
where you're just like you feel crazed and like this just this is going on too long. I don't want to be here. I feel trapped. Yeah, very,
Hmm.
very huge recommend on that one. Number six, I'll go ahead and say is a movie I still have yet to see, and I guess maybe I need to get to. Blank is a seriously spine-tingling film that'll leave you creeped out for days. Rose Leslie, who people may remember from Game of Thrones, and Harry Treadaway, I got it right, put on a hell of a show, making the horror hit way too close to home as it digs deep into the idea of getting lost in your own relationship. The story unfolds as a honeymoon turns into a nightmare. I kind of I did the thing you're not supposed to do. I gave away the title. It's called Honeymoon,
Hmm.
uh, from director Lee Janiak. Uh, but yeah, weird relationship horror on vacation. I hear really good things. Still have yet to watch it. Apparently, it is only available right now streaming on the Roku channel if you are a
Hmm.
Roku user. Okay,
Hmm.
this next one 2009. Big fave of mine. Definitely not going to be on the list next year. It may have even already crossed over. It was right on the verge with 49,998 reviews. But we had to keep it on the list because we love it. Okay. Blank injects a much needed dose of vitality into the vampire subgenre, which has often suffered from uninspired treatments. Blank, who may be my favorite working director, again, this is Mayfield speaking, not that I don't agree with him, takes the reins of this narrative and transforms it into a breathtaking masterpiece. The film not only reimagines the vampire mythos, but also delves deep into the complexities of desire, morality, and human nature. Blank's vision is nothing short of spellbinding, making every frame a work of art that lingers in your memory. With his unparalleled ability to craft visually stunning scenes, he elevates Blank to a level of excellence in a way that only he could. 2009 vampire film that is visually stunning from a arguably master director.
2009 vampire movie.
Yes.
Only one I can think of is Fright Night from 2009, around that time.
Is that
I
a
can't think of it
2009?
again. I don't know.
Okay. The film is Thirst. So this is a big You got this one wrong.
Oh yeah.
But
Well, we didn't say anything about Koreans, Noah.
what I had to specify that it's a foreign film? Was that a
Yeah,
rule?
yeah. Otherwise,
Oh,
I'm not gonna know it.
okay. Well,
I'm just kidding. Yeah. Okay. Thirst.
uh, it's just incredible movie if you've never seen it, man.
No, I haven't.
It's great.
I didn't know we were allowing it on the list this
This
time.
one I think is still available on Mubi. They had most of the Park movies. Park Chan-wook, of course, is the director. Song Kang-ho is the lead in this one. But yeah, it's about a Catholic priest who, uh, in an effort to cure a disease, basically contracts the blood disease of vampirism, and then doesn't really want to have to feed on people, but has to deal with the complexities of needing to do that to survive. But it's fun and twisted, and it's gory, and you know it's totally its own vibe.
Hmm.
It's a very unique take on the genre, much needed when it dropped, and yeah, huge recommend if you've never seen Thirst. um Number 4 on the list. The horror comedy subgenre is a treasure trove of exceptional films, and among these gems, Blank stands as a shining example of brilliance. Serving as Jeremy Saulnier's directorial debut, it is a tour de force of humor and horror, masterfully blending those elements and offering a unique and unforgettable viewing experience, delivering a climax that is horrifyingly thrilling. It's a testament to Saulnier's creative vision that his ability to surprise and captivate his audience. It's from 2007, streaming on Pluto and Tubi right now. Do you remember this film? I've definitely told you to watch it. Don't know if you ever got to it.
Is our boy in it?
Who's our boy? We got a lot of boys.
The boy from the Texas boy, Wiggs.
Texas boy. What?
Shea Wiggum in this movie?
No, Wiggum's not in this
I have no idea what this movie is.
movie. Okay. This movie is Murder Party.
Oh, okay.
Did you
I
ever
was
watch
thinking,
Murder Party?
yeah.
It's just a great time. This is
Mhm.
super, super
I don't
funny.
know why I was thinking about the gas station and
I,
like
I
they're
thought you
stuck with
might
that
have been.
thing.
I thought you might. Oh, that's Splinter. Yeah, I thought you
Yeah,
might have
yeah.
been referring to our boy Macon Blair, who
Him, yeah.
who we're a huge fan of, who was just in Oppenheimer and is directing the reboot of Toxic Avenger, which drops
Oh my
in a
god.
little bit. Did you see the trailer for that?
No, I need to go look for it.
Uh oh wow. Very excited. Very excited for that. It's gonna be a good time. Okay.
All right, so this is number three.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Placing Blank this high on the list feels, for lack of a better word, icky. Performances are pitch perfect. Themes are respectively, themes around respectability, politics, and times of crisis resonate deeply. It is disturbing, infuriating, and pulls zero punches. I say this without an ounce of hyperbole. This is one of the most disturbing watches of the last 20 years. Approach this movie with an abundance of caution because, as someone who watched it over a year ago, it still haunts me. It's streaming on AMC Plus. It's from 2022. Definitely talked at length about it last year. Not
I have
ringing a bell for
no
old
idea.
Gavster, though. Speak no evil.
Oh,
You're
okay.
not allowed to talk about it. That's why it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do?
I'm just following the rules. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know
again,
what you can do.
a movie that we recommend with a giant asterisk next to it always because it's just really upsetting. It's incredibly well made and really well done, but it's a one and doneer. I'll never watch it again personally. I have no desire to. But very powerful film. Maybe not what everybody goes for in October. So again, he gave fair warning for putting it that high on the list. We'll forgive him. This next one is also from 2022. Chloe Okuno presents us with a coldly gorgeous film that perfectly modernizes the Hitchcockian thriller. Blank is a bleak and purposefully unkind look into navigating anxiety in a patriarchal world. A world that constantly invalidates the experiences of women, taking the protagonist, masterfully played by Micah Monroe, and the audience through the feelings of doubt and unease, with a finale that had me out of my seat. From 2022, the film is
Significant Other.
No.
I'm just kidding. It's Watcher.
Okay. You got that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were big fans of this one. Huge recommend. Just very like, this is a great example
But I mean,
of taking
did you see Significant Other? Yes or no?
no, and I can get to it. That's this year though, isn't it? Or was that
It's
last year?
it was last year. That's why I was making the joke. That's like
That's right. That's right. That's
she
right.
had two last year.
And that was her and Jake Lacey. Yeah, I never got
Yeah,
to
yeah.
that one. Uh, is that a recommend from you?
Oh,
Or
yeah, definitely.
oh, okay, okay. But yes, Watcher, I think a great example of sometimes you can take like a rather cliched story, cliched setup, if you will, and if you just execute on it really, really well with really strong filmmaking and performances, that I'm totally here for it. Like,
Hmm.
you know, I think sometimes I don't know, people get lost in the sauce of trying to like, oh, we got to do this thing or whatever, and they end up being kind of samey. Where it's like you can stick pretty close to like the genre tropes and just not even worry about tweaking them. Sometimes it's satisfying just seeing them play out in satisfying ways. I don't always
Hmm.
need something to be a subversion of a subversion, but that was a great heady psychological thriller that does not, you know, pull back when it wants to be like a truly like shock and awe horror movie. I really liked Watcher. The number one is the number one that has been on the list for since this article started, basically. And it will finally be off the list because I think it will finally cross over on the review scale. Okay. What's truly more remarkable is how Blank manages to feel both familiar and incredibly unique at the same time. While paying homage to the classics of 70s horror, it carves its own distinct path, offering viewers an experience that is both nostalgic and fresh. It's a rare achievement in the horror genre. Blank is more than just a movie, it's an immersion into a bygone era of horror. In a world where many horror films rely on cheap thrills and excessive gore, this one stands out as a must watch for anyone who appreciates the art of suspense, atmosphere, and masterful storytelling. The film is from 2009 and it is currently streaming on Peacock, Pluto TV, and Tubi. Gavin Blanchard named that film
The Prowler.
2009.
I have no idea what he's talking about. If there's no plot context, don't ask me to know what's what. Just you're naming your feelings about it means nothing to me. So I get he's putting the name in it, but like if I don't have some kind of like plot context, then like I'm not gonna know what it is just by his like, oh, it does this, it does that's great that it does it, but I have
It's a
no
it's
idea
a
what he's talking about.
it's a slow burn 70s throwback. It's from one of our faves, Mr. Ty West. The film is House of the Devil.
Oh yeah, okay.
I thought you might
That
get it
was
just because again, my big clue was it's been the number one on this list since he started writing it. So I thought maybe you'd remember that one's
I just
always the
figured
number
more
one.
people had probably seen it by now since we talk about it so much.
Same
But
thought. And again, my argument, again, I don't write this article. This is Mayfield's article, but I'm like, if Black Christmas qualifies for the list, then Black Christmas is always the default number one. That if
right,
you haven't seen it, that's the number one that you should have seen.
yeah.
But again,
The real
personal taste.
challenge as a writer and as a creator would be to find 20 other movies you haven't already put on the same list to make people watch
Ooh, okay.
like a
Okay.
different list every year. You know what I mean?
I mean, are we just throwing a little bit of shade? Just a little bit?
Well, I can't see you at all, so that's a whole lot of shade if you're asking me.
You're directing the shade at Mayfield. That's
I
not
know.
very nice. That's not
I
very
know.
nice.
I'm just saying like it's one of those things. It's like I may have put like one or two of like when I did the 10, like I'm gonna release another 10 when the 20th hits of like the next 10 days. Instead of doing like one every day, which is daunting, I'm just doing like a big drop. And there may be one or two in there that like I might have had last year. But for the most part, I try to find new things I haven't seen or things that I know I didn't put on my list last year, just to like put out there like, there is just not necessarily playing tribute to the genre, but like just the idea like there's even if you
Yeah,
think
I
you've
feel
seen
you.
everything,
He's definitely
there's
going
more
for
stuff that you haven't seen. Even like there's been
yeah.
some really like really I'm like this is gonna be shit. Like low budget stuff that's like you can tell these people are like a bunch of friends that just got together and they got it on streaming because streaming needed to buy something. That is really good, you know. And like you wouldn't see that now. That would one, it would either never get made, or two, it would be like super low budget and like regional. Like somebody would have it like around wherever it was like shot, and you might see it, somewhere down the line. But like now, with the advent of streaming, you have things that like people are getting just to have the content just to get it. So there's probably things that you're going to see that like you didn't think you ever would see, and like stuff you can tap into on literally any streaming network. There's thousands of them out there now. So like every time we talk about anything as far as like Arctober and like things that, scary movies, stuff like that, I've always tried to get into the mindset of a new angle to like look at the whole month and to look at horror. Not so much like I don't want to constantly have the what's going on in the horror genre now talk, because it's kind of indicative of Hollywood at large. Like everything's a remake, you know.
Hmm.
But like this year, or a couple years ago, I remember I did nothing but I immersed myself in Lovecraft, and I tried to figure out like, is everybody like at their core making just another Lovecraft story in a different medium, or did he just have a really big effect on a specific group of guys, and they're taking it upon themselves to be like, yeah, you think this is scary, but like check out this guy because like he was talking about this at the turn of the century. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like I've always tried to come at it from a different angle, but like now more than ever, just because we are on the tail end of like the Halloween trilogy having ended, and you know things becoming more and more accessible, different IPs going back into like certain hands, and then just it being like I don't know. I've seen a couple of things this year that I'm like these are great, and I've seen things that I'm like, funny concept, not my thing. Wouldn't recommend. And I've seen some stuff that I'm just like, okay, if this is what you're telling me, if this is where we're at with this specific IP, because of where we're at, I'm either on board or okay, it's already jumped the shark twice and it needs to just be done. You know,
Hmm.
so yeah, I mean. I appreciate Mayfield writing the article, but it's again, if you have the same movie on the same list for multiple years, it's like maybe retire it after like a year or two.
Part of
I
the
don't know.
whole point I think he's trying to make is like still like these haven't crossed that threshold. And it's like you would think people have seen these, but clearly they haven't at this point. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean they probably have, but you're just going off reviews, right?
IMDb reviews specifically, but yeah,
Yeah, okay. So somebody has to actually go make an account on IMDb and write a review about it. Like
you don't have to have an account.
I've seen half of those. I haven't read reviews for them, but so my vote doesn't count. But I could be the deciding vote for that last one. You know, right there on the teetering edge of 49, 99, 99, and 50. You know, so but I just didn't go write a review about any of them. So I mean I get the metric, but it's like I'm sure, and I'm sure if you actually talk to more people about it, they would probably know what it is. And there's probably way more people who've seen it. It's probably crossed that threshold forever ago, but it's just not updated because technically people didn't go and write a review about it. So, and
Well,
I'm
again,
sure you could look around the next year and you'll find a bunch of stuff that people haven't seen that like they should. Like Barbarian was on that list. Granted, I don't know how big and successful Barbarian was, but it
definitely
kind of,
over the definitely over the 50. Again,
yeah, definitely over 50.
everybody's
So
already seen that movie.
yeah,
It's
but I
not
feel
new.
like nobody talks about it. Like I haven't heard anybody like talking about it. And that's not to say that like every
And it's
year I
only been
need
a
to have
year,
like
bro. It's
right.
only been a year.
But after it came out, I heard about it as it came out, and then after that, but it's just
Oh,
like,
it was a thing, man. It had a moment last year. It definitely
yeah,
did. I think so. And I think as soon as I believe Weapons, his follow-up, which I think comes out next year, when that hits, we'll be talking about Barbarian again and how great it was. And everybody who missed out on the surprise the first time will go back and they'll have a great
Yeah,
time.
hopefully.
Okay. What do you think, you can see me better if you lean in closer?
No, it's telling me there's 7 minutes left on this go round.
Yeah. So, do you want to transition into what you've been watching? You said you've seen some stuff you were about. You seen anything in
Yeah,
theaters? Just do you
no,
want to go home watches? What do you want to talk about, bud?
I don't watch horror in the theater anymore.
Okay. Why?
Um,
Bad experience?
no, I
Bad
can't.
crowd?
No, it's just it's got to be in the comfort of my own home. Otherwise, I don't know. I just haven't watched something scary in the theater in a minute. I don't. It's not for lack of trying. It's just I haven't. I mean, I everything horror related lately I've watched like as it's come to VOD or just available streaming. You know,
Okay.
and it may be because it is like there isn't a
Well,
like
you were, excuse
hyped
me.
up
So
crowd.
you were talking about you usually kind of have a theme for your year or something you want to tackle. I will say one of the things, and I'm kind of reminding myself here in the moment, I wanted to try and watch some classic like Japanese horror, which has always been on my list. Your
Uh-huh.
Onibabas, your Kwaidans, etc. Uh, I still have yet to get to any of those. A lot of them are kind of lengthy. That's part of it. But
Yeah.
that was my goal for this Arctober. Haven't really executed on it. But yeah, did you have a theme for this year that you were working towards, or something in the back of your head? Or you just been freestyling it? You just been going with the spooky vibes?
I mean, I my goal is always like something you haven't seen or something that you haven't seen in X amount of years, but still
Uh-huh.
looking at it on the lens of because so like I watched like the Children of the Corn remake, and I was like, okay, this is garbage, but
Right?
it looks neat, and it's like there's actually like a corn maze monster thing, like a
They were
you know
finally able to execute on the man
the
behind the rose. Yeah.
right, and again, I have no idea what the source material is as to like if he's ever described in any way, shape, or form. And obviously, I have the original with Linda Hamilton in my head, and I don't know, like I see, like so a couple years ago, I did all the Hellraisers. Like I thought about, it, I was like, is this going to be it? Am I going to go down the Children of the Corn maze?
Oh
Uh
God,
huh.
is that yeah?
There's like 6 or 7 movies and a couple of remake reboot attempts,
Yeah,
and I was
because
like, they're all up now, like in different
they
places. You can find them all streaming, but I was like, no, I can't. I'm not that scared of it. You know, it's like it's not okay. These children, like, all right, cool. Just don't go to that town, or like, you know, I don't know. It just the I will say the only thing that like I could say about the remake is like whoever the little girl is that they have like playing the main antagonist, like she pissed me off the entire movie, but like in a good way, in a way of like, oh, that little bitch, she's probably gonna wind up being a really great actress in a couple of years. Like she's gonna like she knows she's in a movie that's not great. Like she's playing it as like, I know I'm pissing the audience off right now. I know this is what I'm here to do. I know this isn't Shakespeare, but like just I'm doing this just to get seen and give me a little bit and I'll be in something that people are gonna be like, who is this chick? And you're gonna be like, oh, she was in that god awful Children of the Corn remake, you know? So it had that going for it. But then I turn around and I watch something like, Evil Dead Rise, and I'm like, this is great. Why can't we do more of this shit? Like, why can't we have more established genre things that like do their own thing, like established IP that just do their own like thing out of the blue, and we like it. Like, I love that remake that you, me, and Baron went to go see. I thought it was great, you know. And after watching the most latest iteration of that franchise, I was on board from Jump Street. I thought it was great. Probably one of my more favorite like interactions with traditional IP since like Halloween. You know,
I mean, I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was that like fresh of a take, other than kind of fucking with the setting, and I guess making it a family dynamic sort of thing. But I felt like in a good way, I was like, this knows it's an Evil Dead movie and it knows the beats it needs to hit.
Yeah, yeah.
For me, it felt like just kind of an active escalation of the Fede Alvarez remake, where
Right.
it was like, we know we want to have this big final set piece. We're going to try and escalate and elevate over what was done in that one, and to that extent, it did. I had a great time with it. I thought it was a blast. But I thought it was good. But if anything, I thought like just a little derivative of the last one that we got, almost to the point where it's like, oh, okay, well, if they rushed a sequel right now, I would be like, don't do it. Like one of these every couple years in the Evil Dead franchise, where it's just like
Hmm.
it's just another book. And I did like the concept of this one of it being, you know, slightly different. It's not just straight up the Deadites. Like there was different forms of the monster and everything.
Hmm.
Particularly the the mom like formed with the kids at the end
Yeah.
was an incredible design. We have less than a minute, but yes, I huge recommend on Evil Dead Rise. I agree. I had to take it down a peg or two. I'm just like it was good, but it was not the remake, which is again one of the best horror remakes ever. Period.
Yeah. Hands
Uh,
down.
but yeah, we'll cap it on Evil Dead. We'll come back for some more recent watches, and we will wrap this thing out in just a bit.
Sounds perfect.
Okay, so this will be part three, the final leg.
Aye, and I'm so spooked out. I've been spooked Scottish. I'm just gonna talk like this for the rest of the time.
I'm sure that'll be terrifying for everyone involved. Okay, pulling up my watch log for this Arctober. Shall we begin?
Go ahead, Boyle. Tell us what you've been watching.
On on Arctober first. Kicked it off with a movie we've covered on a 2x2. One of my all-time faves, maybe my favorite movie ever made. Great way to start the season. Mulholland Drive.
Hmm.
That's it. That's all I got.
I mean,
That's all I get from you.
I don't. I get it. I just don't. I don't class like. There's like horror movies, then there's like David Lynch, and then there's like every other movie ever made. You know what I mean?
Well, yes, but arguably, I mean, his movies scare me more than pretty much any horror movie I can think of. Even though, yes, I wouldn't call any of his movies horror movies.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't try to be scary, and he is scary. So, like, if he actually tried to be scary, could anybody really watch it? You know what I mean?
Oh, I definitely think he likes to be spooky.
That's the thing. He
It's
likes to be
intentionally
spooky,
spooky.
spooky, but not scary. Like he isn't going to like. He's not trying to like. Oh my god, look at this. This is creepy. This is terrifying. He's just like, wouldn't it be weird and wouldn't it be terrifying if, you know, maybe the little man in red, like his speech was messed up, you know, like stuff like that. That's terror. It's The Shining. It's what are those people doing in the furry suits? It's like it gets under your skin in ways that like it's probably not supposed to. Like, and on the surface, it could look just like utterly ridiculous if you're just an average, like, what is this? You know, why is this guy just freaking out about, well, he says he's had a problem with this thing that's behind this restaurant. Well, why the hell is he even gonna walk out there and look? Like, just don't do like you
And again, the fact that that's the scene that like sticks with you, and it's like that hardly has anything to do with, with the rest of
ex-
that movie.
that's right.
That's
So
what's
that
amazing about it too.
that's what I'm saying. It's a throwaway scene essentially.
It's not, but also not at all at the
Right,
same time.
exactly. That it's
It's so
intentionally a
it's so
throwaway, but not
important.
really.
It's so
You know.
important. Yes. But yeah, a masterpiece as far as I'm concerned, one of my favorites of all time. But to that point, that's why I opened with it, because it's a nice like transition into the spooky season.
Yeah.
We're not just straight up like, oh, I'm going with the slasher out of the gate, or oh, I'm doing this, you know. And then later that evening, I watched a first timer for me, an unseen Argento. I watched Tenebra,
Oh, that was good.
which I enjoyed. Not my favorite, but I mean, even you know, second tier Argento, still pretty fucking entertaining. So yeah, and that one's on Amazon Prime right now if
Hmm.
you want to check it out. Or did you do yours by day, or are you just keeping it random?
No, I've got like an amalgamated list. I kept a list, and then like I'd have to go back with some of them because some of them just kind of like it popped up like this isn't really like first day.
Would
Like,
you, yeah, would you at least tell me what you kicked off with? What
oh,
was the first thing that's like
I had to go Young Frankenstein.
officially starting? Okay, okay. See, again, perfect example, horror comedy. You're
Hmm.
not fully diving in. You just little toe
Well,
dip.
you have to understand the premise is that like Bex can't watch scary movies. Like she
It's
can't
just
get
not
into
her
it.
thing.
No, it's just it's like it's a certain thing, and I've like I kind of coaxed her. I was like, well, I was like the fog isn't really like scary, you know.
Right.
And she was like, I don't see how you do it. And I was like, there's rent and a mortgage and bills to pay, so like that's how I can do it. Like it's an escape because it's like how am I supposed to be scared? Like I use this as an escape. How am I supposed to let like what scares me is homelessness, ending
Right.
up like the guys I see on the street, you know, which is like why like in Nightmare Alley, the idea that he just kind of reverts back to the one thing he's been like making fun of and like, you know,
Oh, that's definitely one I need to rewatch.
that's
Haven't seen
that's
it
the
since theaters.
yeah, dude. It's like that is like ending up the creepy thing behind the restaurant is my fear because I know what it takes to get there because of the line of work I'm in, plus just in general. I know like how far you have to fall to get there. And so on some level, you can't be emotionally or like physically freaked out and scared by things when like there are existential forces that like are even in more peril. Like no one's talking about it. I'm scared that like all this debt that like Iran and these other countries are going to start paying back, they're going to start using the Chinese yuan and it's going to extremely deflate the value of the American dollar. And we think things are like bad now. It's only going to get 10 times worse. I'm afraid of that kind of stuff. So to me, Michael Myers, he's all of that and then just pure evil. So it's like I can
Uh-huh.
appreciate it and sit back and just be entertained and not be like, I don't have to think about like, all right, well, after this, if I get X amount of sleep, then I can get up at this time, so then I can have this amount of time of work. Like it's just a relief and an escape from like what is pure, pretty much to me already a pretty scary world to begin with when
Yeah.
you become an adult. So like, but she just looks at it as like it's creepy, it's scary, and I'm like, well, then how did you watch like Midnight Mass and all? She's like, well, those were great, and I'm like, yeah, they were, but like they're still scary. But like you killed that in like a couple days without, and I didn't have to be here for that, you know. And it's like I was like, oh shit, House of Usher. Like we started it, and I was like, oh, is it Mike Flanagan? Of course, it's Mike Flanagan. Like, can we just talk about how like that guy is like killing it as far as like television horror for the past what 4 or 5 years?
Yeah.
Not to mention that when he takes a break to do a movie, he's killing that too. Like probably the most exciting name in horror right now to me is Mike Flanagan. Like I can't think of anybody else.
Consistently, yeah, I
Yeah,
would
just
say.
he's like our dude. Like he has our brain. I feel like when it comes to you know what he puts up there. And I guess if I'm gonna go just retroactively back, it's getting into this. I'll say we kicked it off with like Halloween 18, but like now getting into these areas where like people who are fans like you and I are of stuff or like they grew up on the same stuff you and I did, what are they bringing to the table that is like an extension of that or like it builds upon that maybe with certain IP or is completely original like in something like Barbarian that to me is like there are so many nods to other things but it is its own complete unique original thing that like you can't do anything but just laud it and celebrate it for being what it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then like last night or like 2 nights ago, I watched Bones and All. I don't know if you've seen that yet.
Haven't gotten to it yet.
It
I was going to ask you it's that
oh my god,
could I
dude,
fit that in for horror
I would
for the
totally
month of
count it because
October?
it's one of those. It's in the same vein of like to me it is of like a let the right one in or let me in, and like the horror is just there, and it's like this is just what happens, and it's like the horror of it is like being this person, this character that has to do this thing, and what it must be like for them. It's like you don't think about like what they're doing to other people and like the horror of being this quote unquote creature or thing or whatever. It's the, well, isn't this so? Isn't the horror like the fact that you can't interact as a normal person and you only have this specific people that you can like talk about this thing with and whatnot? Isn't that in and of it? It's like kind of like how people always talk about like, oh, Anne Rice's vampires are like the saddest vampires because they're so old and they're alone and they lament and all this kind of shit. It's kind of like that, but it treats all of the like horror and like gore of it as like an afterthought of like, yeah, this is just how it is. That's not important. What's important is look what this girl's going through, like pay attention to that. So I don't necessarily call it a subversion, but like when it was labeled up there as horror, I was like, all right, where's, because I've seen the trailer and I wanted to see it, but I didn't catch it. So when it was like, oh shit, I can watch it right now, hell yeah. And I just threw that on last night after I got done with dinner with mom and dad, and I was like, okay, like I get it. This is like it's it's equal parts like could have been maybe something Stephen King had written, but also something that like I could see as totally unique and original and like coming out of nowhere. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I would recommend it to anybody who's got the time. It does get a little lengthy, about 2 hours. So if you're looking for like your kind of traditional, like we're in and out in 90 minutes, like slash or whatever, like you might want to put some time aside for it. But other than that, I thought it was really good. And I mean, I can't wait to see what Timothy Chalamet does with Wonka. I think it's gonna be a hit. End of the year, baby. It's all
I
good.
I hope that movie tanks.
Me too.
I hope it takes a big old wet fart at the box office. A cold fart, if you will.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. No. So.
Bet Timothy Chalamet thinks he's hot shit. He ain't nothing but a cold fart. Totally kidding. I love Chalamet. I don't know why he's making that movie though. Genuinely confused why he's making Wonka.
I
Why we're
think you.
doing this at all. But
Yeah. I think you just you do a couple for you. You got to do one for them.
well, I think we've also firmly established in the last month that like Wes Anderson is the only person who should be allowed to make Roald Dahl adaptations now and forevermore. Period. Dot. End of statement.
Yeah, I saw that thing about that. I saw something about that earlier, and I was like, oh, it's that guy. Okay, cool.
But you love Cumberbatch, dude. You should at least watch Henry Sugar. You should give it a shot.
Okay,
At least watch the first one.
okay, I might.
It's 40 minutes. The other ones are shorter, but you would like it. It's good. It's good. You'll get over it. Okay. You're allowed to like these. They're on Netflix for God's sakes.
Eh,
The most mass appeal of all the streamers.
I'm waiting for the killer,
Okay, wait,
and
so
then the other one.
we gotta focus. We'll save
That
all
it,
that shit for November.
yeah.
Except I do except a true American horror story. Guess what I'm seeing tomorrow? Killers of the Flower Moon, baby.
Oh yeah, that is tomorrow night.
And then if you can't make it to the theater, even though I mean, come on, if you're gonna see it on the big screen, but it will be on Apple TV on Friday. So
Wait, what?
yeah,
For free?
it's an Apple production. Yeah, I mean,
Shit, I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure it's day and date, man. I mean, let me confirm that for you.
Yeah, don't lie to these people. But I seriously thought I was gonna have to like. I mean, I want to go see it in theaters, but like,
Is Killers
if you're telling
of
me I could
the
pop that in Friday
Flower
night, like, of course I'm gonna
Moon
do it.
day and date.
I mean, I hope it's true. I hope you're not just, telling me lies, sweet little lies. Um, so another, well, while you're looking up that, another horror comedy that I liked, but apparently nobody liked, was The Haunted Mansion on Disney Plus. I thought it was cute. I thought it was adorable. I love Lakeith Stanfield.
I gotta be honest, pretty much I was dozing off in the first 15 minutes and
Yeah.
I did not finish it,
Okay.
but I'm glad it was cute. It
It
was a
was
fun time.
okay. So okay, if
Okay, from
if it
what
was some,
I'm excuse me,
go ahead.
I'm not seeing it confirmed here, but now what I'm seeing is it's being they're doing the theatrical run and it says it will be an unspecified time on Apple TV Plus. But yes, that's where it will live ultimately, and it will
Okay.
be free when it pops there. But I
Okay.
assume they'll probably do I think the new window is 45 days
Probably.
minimum.
Yeah.
And then Scorsese, being Mr. Cinema, may have fought for a longer extended theatrical window. So maybe they don't drop it on streaming until more like December, like pre-Oscar ballots going out kind of thing, like another boost. Or maybe they
Yeah,
do
that
it
makes
first of the
sense.
year. I don't know. But yeah, I'm going tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, 3.5 hours. Can't wait. Can't wait. It's been my most anticipated for
Hmm.
quite a while. Anyways, so yeah, Flower Moon tomorrow. But yeah, we'll be able to see it very soon at home. I maybe not on Friday. So I take
Yeah.
that back. Sorry if I got everybody excited. Go see it in the theater
Yeah, yeah,
as
definitely go see it in the theater. And I
as
probably will
as
before
old
it comes to
as
streaming.
old Uncle Marty intended.
Yeah.
I guess Grandpa Marty at this point. I don't know. What are we calling him?
I don't know.
He
Uncle
could be
Marty's
our
fine with me.
he could be our uncle.
Uncle Marty. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Here we go. On the second, I did a little horror comedy of my own. A little Buffy the Vampire Slayer
Always a treasure.
on HBO Max. Nice little taste of Rubens. That's mainly what I was going back for. You know, past a
Hmm.
cou- past, just shy of like a month or two ago. Uh,
I go for Donald Sutherland and Rutger Hauer.
but dude,
You
but
can't do any.
Rubens has the great dude,
Oh yeah, no, he has the
best
best
line in
stuff.
the
He
whole
has the best.
movie.
Yeah,
Best line
yeah.
in the whole movie.
Hmm.
Tell him a lot. It's so good, dude. It's so good. Tell him a lot. Uh, yeah, but that was
Hey, we
super
know
fun.
you. We hate you.
That one was super fun to go back to. I mean, it's not Shakespeare or anything, but it's a fun time. It's
It is quintessentially 90s. Like I
it
remember that
is
movie. That movie
90s
scared
with
me
a
as a kid a little bit.
with a big old nine and a zero. It
Yeah.
scared you as a kid, you say?
Yeah, dude. Like being, I remember like when it came out, like when it was came in like video and stuff. I just remember like the scene where Arquette, gets Paul Rubens gets David Arquette. I just remember like the fact that like all that was going on, and you really couldn't like the other like what is his name?
Luke Perry?
Luke Perry. Yeah, rest in peace, Luke Perry. Um, like he was so drunk that and again when I'm a kid I don't know that he's drunk and doesn't understand that like his friend is getting turned
Right.
into a vampire, and
Yeah.
I was like terrified of like your buddy, well look, turn around, look at him, no he's gone, but I just remember being like the littlest things in that movie creeped me out, and then of course they're in a graveyard and then
It's got
it's
a
got
great
everything.
vibe to it. It's just got
Yeah.
a great Halloween time vibe. They have the dance, like it's
And then
yeah.
you turn all that into like what 9-10 seasons of like a hit show on WB. Like can we think of another IP that has had that success and like people have been trying to copy?
Where
Because
they
I
kind
feel like
well,
it's one of the
again,
first ones where
that's
there's a movie, then there's a show, and people are like, "Oh shit, here we go."
well, I think it's an example of like maybe we should do that more often, which is like maybe if everything has to be IP driven, can we stop like fucking with the things that people already like and just like chasing nostalgia and like take things we've said it a billion times that maybe weren't like solid gold out of the gate. Maybe we don't just like fuck with masterpieces. Maybe we take things that like this was okay or like this was a cool kernel of an idea, but like we could do something fresh with this. Like
Hmm.
that's basically what that was. It's like we didn't have the screenplay. Like movie comes out doesn't really do that well. It's like, oh, that's kind of all she wrote. And then they resurrect it as a TV show, like what, 6 or 7 years? Like, when does that start? Does that start like 98, 99?
Yeah, the tail end. It has because it's
That's
after
like,
I Know What You
that's
Did Last Summer. So yeah,
right.
it's at least
That's
five,
like,
6 years
okay.
removed.
Yeah. And but again, admittedly, not a Buffy person, but,
No.
uh, yeah. Okay. So same day, my double feature that day, both rewatches. I did The Empty Man, which is available on Hulu right now.
Fuck no.
Not a rewatch for you, you mean?
Nope. Still not. Certain things like not doing the nightmare again. I'm not doing the empty man again. I'm not just there's certain images that um
What's the thing in that one that gets you?
I'm not gonna talk about it because I'm house sitting and I'm alone all this week. I have been not and I'm not, I have been watching some scary stuff and then going to bed, and I've got a dog with me. I've also got a 12 gauge automatic shotgun and three pistols, but um there's just certain images and just in the opening of that thing just in the snow coming at it's just
That's the thing. And when I went back to it, I was like, I was like, I feel like the movie tops this at some point. And bottom line, from a pure scare factor, I was like, it never does. But that shit is so haunting; it lingers over the whole
yes.
fucking movie. And that whole movie is just such a vibe. And we talked about it a bit when it came out. It kind of got buried
who
during COVID.
who's the lead in that? Who's the guy in that?
James Badgedale.
That's it. That's what I remember being like. I like this dude. I like James Badgell because he's been 1923 and a bunch of other good stuff.
Another one not horror, but starring him that I don't know if I ever told you to watch, which I'll just throw out there, is The Standoff at Sparrow Creek, if you
I've
never saw
heard
it.
of it, but I haven't seen it.
Very, very good movie.
Yeah.
From a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But yes, he is the lead, and the director is it David Pryor? Hold on. It is indeed David Pryor. And if I'm not mistaken, he's one of Fincher's boys. Like he kind of apprenticed under Fincher, and you definitely get those vibes in Empty Man. But again, what we like about that movie is it's kind of shifting through subgenres the whole time. You're kind of constantly trying to get your hands around what exactly it's gonna be. And I will say on a rewatch, knowing where it's going, uh, does take away from it just a smidge. But that first time through with The Empty Man cannot be denied. Huge recommend. And again, it's on Hulu and FX now currently. Yeah. Anything that's top of mind? I got a big
I
first
got
timer for me, but you go right ahead.
1988 Evil Dead Trap.
Uh okay.
It's on
Not
streaming.
familiar.
It's Japanese, and basically this talk show hostess and her film crew, they like go to investigate where a graphic snuff film has been supposedly been shot, and it
Okay.
just it goes batshit crazy from there. And there's another scene. There's another one I was looking at, and it was like, um, yeah, a late night TV presenter receives a snuff tape in which a woman is brutally killed. She decides to take a crew to the location indicated tape, but only death and despair await them. So yeah. Uh, and apparently there's a couple sequels. I don't know. Yeah, Evil Dead Trap 2. There was another one I was watching in it was part of an anthology thing or like a countdown thing. And I want to look at just I want to see it just because like apparently it was basically like probably some of the inspirations for like Saw and Hostel, but it was straight to VHS. It was like they're like they won't make them ever again because it solely survived because of the fact that it was on that medium. But it's essentially Japanese, and it's like a girl gets brought in, she's strapped down to a table, and like it's almost like it's they were trying to recreate like an actual snuff film, but at like they were increasing like things of like different like torture methods, all this other stuff. But then like they spawned like two or three sequels to it. And people a lot of times had real problems like not believing that it was a fake film that it was something that was just all like, hey, look at these special effects. Look how crazy we can get with it. Look how terrifying we can be, tormenting and whatnot. But I
Right.
can't remember the names of them. I just remember seeing it in an anthology thing I was watching. I don't even remember what that was. And being like, wow, that's interesting. That like, yeah, you're right. That can never happen to day one. You can never make that. Two, the idea that people it. I think it was something maybe it might have been something Joe Bob Briggs was talking about before a movie I was watching that he was presenting, where he was like, oh yeah, this kind of started the whole Faces of Death thing and like other stuff where people like thought they were looking at like, live death and torture and stuff like that. But yeah, Evil Dead Trap I found after watching Maniac Cop 2 with him. Um and because he talks to Bill Lustig, which is pretty neat. And I don't know if there's any other ones up there, but like it was I've never really gotten to like the old school Japanese horror. And then like all of a sudden there's this new crop, like right that like we're getting the Americanized version of it. So we go back and find the original Japanese. But for an late 80s, early 90s, just like slice of like what was Japanese cinema about,
Yeah, I was gonna say
I was
that's
like,
kind of
holy
like
shit, dude, that's
yeah, that's kind of like the missing era, I would say, because I know
yeah,
like House from like I think 77
right.
is the only one that I've seen that of any kind of note that like shows up on a lot of lists. But yeah, the kind of 80s period there, I know nothing about. And then of course you have kind of the revival of J horror when we start remaking everything over here. But
Right.
uh and then I feel like on that note that kind of has died down at least as far as the imports go. But I'm like, but that's there's I just feel like there's less and less that we hear coming out of Japan on the horror front in the last several years. The
Well, it's because the
Wailing is
Koreans
one
have
that I
taken
still
over.
have never gotten to that I need to. Okay, speaking of Japanese, I watched Perfect Blue, the
Oh,
anime,
okay.
for the first time ever. I'd never seen it. The Satoshi Kon movie, which was heavily influential on Black Swan and a lot of other Darren Aronofsky movies. But yeah, I was completely knocked out by it. I knew some of the imagery from this, but I didn't know like the actual story. And the last like 20 minutes, the kind of like full on descent into madness, reality breaking what is actually happening right now is some of the most effective I've ever seen. And it's one of those things where you're like, this can almost kind of only be done through animation the way he's doing it. It's like a great marriage of
Mm-hmm.
medium and content. And or form and content rather. And yeah, that was one of those. I was just like, I cannot believe I'd never seen that before. It's always been on my list.
Hmm.
Glad I got to it this year. Followed that up the next day because I was prepping for one that's going to come up in a minute. I watched Exorcist II: The Heretic. And the reason I did is because I was not going to go into The Believer having seen the original freshly. I was like, I'm going to do this movie all the favors in the world, and I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
watch one of the absolute worst films ever made uh, from Mr. John Borman, an absolutely terrible film, which is available on HBO Max if you must, but I don't recommend it. So to wash the taste out of my mouth from that, I watched Kill List later that night because I wanted to
Oh,
feel
dude.
real bad
God,
and
man,
creep
that
myself
movie.
out quite a bit. Because again, even though it's like it's such a downer ending and I know where it's going, but that has some genuine like spine tingling moments. There's like, you know, there's the putting the markings on the bathroom mirror. There's
Uh-huh.
the whole tunnel sequence, which is basically Resident Evil 4 come to life.
Mm-hmm.
It's got so many great bits. I just a deeply upsetting movie that I love going back to weirdly. That's one of those you think would be a one and doneer, but I love it. And it's always conveniently streaming. It's on Prime right now, actually.
It's because like it's one of those like there's no like Green Room. There's really there's no way out of that. Like there's no
Right.
I mean, you could argue like, okay, yeah, just let the roadie go get your phone. You were told don't go back in the room unless they're with you. Just let somebody get it and they'll bring it to you and you can leave. But what are we? We're creatures of habit. No, nobody's touching my phone. Nobody's getting my phone but me. So, like, yeah, you kind of did it to yourself. But at the same time, there really is like no way out of that, because it's like, we'll kill this, because it's like you've been given multiple times of like, you don't have to do this. You can you can stop. You don't have to keep going with this thing. Obviously, yeah, you need the money, yada yada yada, and then just the last what, like
But
20 minutes of it
realizing,
are just
yeah,
so just
realizing
like,
that they're in something that they you and even you as the viewer never fully grasp, which is one of my favorite things, is like you never quite know what the hell was going on there, like fully,
yeah,
which makes it all the more scary.
because
Okay.
he doesn't have to open fire on the thing he sees. They could have just left, and that would have been it. You know,
Well, yeah,
like his buddy even
for
tells him
sure.
like, "There's too many
Well,
of
we
them.
don't
Let's
have to
go,
spoil the end of the movie for people who may not have seen it. Okay. We have 10 minutes left, and I want to get to two movies in particular. So I'm going to be
go for
very
it."
brief, real quick, with my thoughts on The Exorcist Believer from David Gordon Green. They're trying to revive the franchise. It's getting the Blumhouse the treatment that Halloween just got. We're doing a Lega sequel, bringing back Ellen Burstyn, but trying to tell a new story that is reverential to the original. Saw this with our mother
Mm-hmm.
for her pre-birthday present. Of course, she and I have a long storied history with the Exorcist franchise. She showed me the original when I was 8 or 9 years old, and it changed my life. And we suffered through The Exorcist: The Beginning in 2004 in the theater, which
My
was
favorite.
terrible. Your favorite of the
No, I'm just kidding.
franchise, of the whole franchise? Cool.
No.
But yeah, we suffered through that together, and yeah, she made the drive down to Charleston, and she was fairly optimistic because she liked the Gordon Green Halloween movies for the most part, and we were both interested to see what was going to happen with this one. And of course, we went to dinner beforehand, and I told her, "Yeah, I watched The Heretic last night, so I'm trying to do this movie all the favors in the world." Blah blah blah. We both really enjoyed it. Again, she's an OG fan. She saw the original in theaters, creeped
Yeah,
her the hell
motherfuckers
out.
fainting left and right and just
She
bad
she
shit.
was
Yeah.
there for the original hoopla. And so coming from her and coming from me, it's one of my all-time favorite films, not just horror films, but like just movies, period. I
Mm-hmm.
I liked Exorcist Believer. And I know like it just has been straight vitriol from almost everyone. And I want to stick up for it a little bit. I think he made a pretty solid movie. It's a little rough around the edges, but it has some great performances, and I thought some really interesting ideas in it. And I'm less inclined more and more to fault a movie for having too many ideas in it. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
not something I like to ding things for. I can ding you for not executing on them or like maybe not all being fully realized, but I'm not going to fault you for like you tried to put a lot in there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I thought there was a lot of interesting concepts with like moving it to the South and like what a possession story would play out like here. If anything, I wish we had more time to delve into all of that and maybe weren't as married to having to pay homage and like I literally bring the Chris McNeil character back into things. Like I don't know, it's trying to serve a lot of masters all at once. I don't think it's fully successful, but we had a good time in the theater. It was a well-made movie to me, and it had some very interesting ideas in it. I think it is worth watching when it hits Peacock in a couple weeks. Uh, it did okay. It kind of fell off the map almost immediately, been pretty much panned by every critic possible. I want to stick up for a little bit. I don't think it is the abomination that everybody seems to think it is. It is easily the best Exorcist sequel by default. I'm sorry. It's just a fact. It's a point of fact. For you, that may not be saying much, but as much as we love that scare in Exorcist 3, go back and watch Exorcist 3. It's
It's
there's
not great.
there's a whole movie around that scare, but that set piece is incredible, but the rest of that movie, not really, doesn't really do it for me personally. Uh, so yeah, give The Believer a shot, I guess, if you want to wait till it's streaming. Did we both see VHS?
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's close out with VHS 85. And I want to basically, you have not finished Usher, is that correct?
Like I'm like five. I'm like I
Okay.
don't know,
The
20 minutes into an episode
again,
or something. Not far at
we
all.
got about 6 minutes on the clock. Okay.
Okay.
But we will reconvene on Usher. I have one episode left. I just want to say I'm thoroughly enjoying it. We talked a little bit about Flanagan, so we have that marked. Same thing with Suburban Screams. I need to watch some more. I've only seen two so far.
Yeah, I've only watched the first two.
Haven't gotten to Carpenter's episode yet, which is the final one, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So
So yeah.
VHS.
Well, do you want to do VHS on its own, maybe as like a review, and then we can like kind of go over some of the other stuff
We
next time
could,
we
I
meet because we
guess,
could do this again.
since that is one that you have seen, and so we'll do VHS and Usher as soon as you finish it.
Yeah, I'll make sure to get Usher done soon.
Okay,
I'm
and we'll
gonna
go through
try and sit
we'll
with
go through the
Perk
segments
this
and
weekend,
okay,
finally. And then when
that would be
mom and
great.
dad get back from North Carolina,
Okay,
I'll
well
sit down with
with
mom.
that in mind, then let's just go back to the list then.
Yeah, yeah.
And
You
we
just
talked
shout off a bunch of other ones you want to
we
shout
talked
out
about
while we
Evil
got
Dead
time left. Yeah.
Rise. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I'm spitting these out as quickly as possible. On the 7th, on the same day as Evil Dead Rise, very late in the evening, it had maybe even crossed over past midnight. I took a chance on one that has been on my radar for a bit. It's called We're All Going to the World's Fair.
Hmm.
Have you heard about this one?
Never heard of it.
I almost want to just recommend it to you, like sight unseen. It's on HBO Max right now. The trailer, I think, is a pretty good representation of the vibe of the movie, but I almost just go in cold, brother.
Hmm.
Take a chance on this one for me. Will you do that?
Okay.
And maybe we can talk about that as well next time. Not, not traditional horror, but it was a first timer for me. This movie has really fucking stuck with me. I
Hmm.
just yeah, I want you to
Okay.
I need to talk to somebody about it. Is why I
Gotcha.
need you to watch it. Please.
Well, if
Please
that's all
mark
you
that
need, I'm your man, brother.
please mark that one down. We're all going to the
Going to the
World's
World's
Fair.
Fair.
It's on HBO Max.
Okay.
Revisited Lords of Salem, the best Rob Zombie movie. Totally holds up. That's on Prime right now. Had a fun little excursion in the sitcom world. I did three Boy Meets World episodes. I did, and then there was Sean, Who's Afraid of Corey Wolf, and the Psychotic episode. All a great time. And you'll be proud of me, brother. So Peacock right now on their peak screaming thing, they
Hmm.
have all the Halloween episodes of certain shows.
Yes, that's what I love about Peacock.
I
They'll just pick those out for you.
out of context now have watched every Halloween episode of Roseanne
Yes.
and had an absolute ball with them. Those are super fun.
Some of the
Some
best
some
ever.
of them are fucking completely unhinged too, where it's
Yes.
just like it felt like they were writing this on the fly, like
It
literally
had to
in the
be.
moment.
That's the
Yeah.
only thing I can think of.
Uh Revisited Death Proof, the theatrical cut. Great time. My pre-birthday present to myself was The Thing. 1982 kills me that I have to say that. A sheer, just absolute masterpiece. And then my birthday movie was Suspiria, another masterpiece from 1977. Hate that I have to say that, but I do. Okay. Uh, Went back to The Lighthouse for the first time in a while. That one has fully become my favorite Robert Eggers movie. It's 10 out of 10 masterpiece. Absolutely love it. Just pure joy every time I go back to it. My ideal kind of like it's creepy and spooky, but it's also funny as hell, like at the
Yeah.
same time. Uh, and then I started watching Fall of House of Usher, which we'll talk about. That started around the 12th,
Hmm.
and Suburban Scream's been mixed in there. Uh, I mentioned that I did Black Christmas, Doctor Sleep Director's Cut, which I liked, but maybe is a little too long. And last night, because they're covering Fincher on Blank Check, Zodiac Director's Cut, which is a modern masterpiece. We have a minute and 30 seconds left. Is there anything else you want to say to
I
the
watched
people?
I watched all of the watched both species one, two. I watched the Boogeyman. I watched Bones and All. I told you about that one. I did do the thing. I did some of those other ones you mentioned. Yeah, I'm probably gonna go the thing about the World's Fair. I'll write that down. And yeah, we'll just plan to next time we get together, we'll go
Okay,
over
60
that
seconds
stuff
left. I will do the
and it'll be
nice
great.
clean. I'll do the
So
nice
just
clean wrap
yeah,
up.
good.
Okay.
Wrap it up for us.
So that was a long rambling about all the things we've been watching recently. We will reconvene to talk The Fall of the House of Usher, which is on Netflix right now. We will also discuss VHS 85. Is that correct?
Yes, 85.
85, which is available on Shudder. Go check those out. We'll have full-on reviews. Maybe Gavin will go see The Believer, or excuse me, Exorcist, Believer. Who knows? Who knows what might happen on the next ARKTOBER 2023 episode.
Tune in next time. Tune in next time. Same bad time, same bad channel.
We've been the
And
Blanchard. We've been the blood-sucking Blanchard brothers. And we hope you had a spooky time.
I
think we made it. Just
hit the button. Hit the button. Stop the recording. Stop the recording now.